Hey, I want to welcome our viewers to a very special podcast. We're on the Kennesaw Happenings, and we're calling or we're broadcasting from Overture, and we have two special guests on our show today. I've known Tony for maybe a year or so, and so we've gotten to know each other by just virtually hanging out and talking. So I want to first have you introduce yourself, Tony, to our visitors, and then we'll have Teryll go after that. So, Tony, tell our viewers who you are and who you serve.
All right. My name is Tony Van Dyke, and I am a Christian cartoonist. My ministry is called Cartoonist for Christ because I'm also a preacher. So I use the two together to draw people's attention.
Right. And that's real important today because our attention span is that. And Teryll will probably attest to it because the younger generation is like this, like nothing. So Teryll, just introduce yourself to our viewers too.
Well, hey everyone, I'm Teryll. I'm Tony Van Dyke's second oldest son.
Okay.
I'm 24. I work for the city of Marietta. Glad to be here.
Awesome.
He's an artist too.
Oh, wow. Man, we got talent in the studio today.
Yeah.
So let me start it. That's really good. Good to have you both. So let's just start so what is your philosophy about the word and how you communicate through your ministry, Cartoons for Christ?
Well, I started my ministry at Carver Bible College,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to find a way. I wasn't sure I was going to be a pastor. I was already a cartoonist first.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to find a way to combine both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a thing called Christian service where while you're in college, you go out and serve the community.
Right.
And so, and also I had a job working my way through school.
Mm-hmm.
So, and one day a lady that I was working with, working in the kitchen, I worked in the Christian school, Colonial Hill Christian School.
Right.
So what you gonna do when you get out of school? I said, I think I want to be an artist and combine art and preaching together some kind of way. Lo and behold, one day I came back to work. This lady had bought me a giant, big, dry eraser board,
Right.
markers and everything to match. And then during the same season, a lady named Mrs. James, she was the dorm mother of the school, and she was over Christian service. She said, Tony, I want you to help me outreach these kids up the street. Carver Bible College school I attended was downtown Atlanta at the time, off of Southwest Nelson Street.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when my ministry began. I said, man, I don't know what to do. God gave me a story, gave me a character called Right Ricky.
Uh-huh.
And he gave me a story called The Best Gift. He just downloaded that into my spirit. And I've been doing it ever since then. That was in the early 80s.
Right.
And now we're in the 2023, and I'm still doing it. So Right Ricky is actually way older than my kids if he was aging.
Right.
So, so I've been doing it for a while. It really captured kids' attention.
Yep.
And, I do draw Bible characters sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I think Right Ricky is more effective because I want to show kids how to apply the word to their life.
Right.
You hear about Moses, you'll hear about the armor of God and do this and do that. But after you hear a good sermon, after you hear a good story from the Bible, how do I apply that to my life? So if they see a character act it out and apply it, it's going to help them to see it better.
Yes.
If I could actually draw it out for them through my characters, like Right Ricky. I have another character too. He represents the wrong thing. He's a square-headed character. Kids love him. His name is Hardhead. So through Right Ricky and primarily Hardhead, I draw people's attention, mostly kids, but I teach adults too.
Right.
Draw their attention to the Lord and show them how does life look when you apply the Bible to it every day.
Wow. I go to a church and I've heard a lot of preachers. Mm-hmm. And when I was moving into this area, so I was church shopping. And, when I heard him, I go, okay, I'm going to go to another one. I couldn't go back anymore. I couldn't go anywhere else because he used pictures to communicate his message. And for me, having had a stroke, pictures are easier for me to understand but I think it gets down to with kids,
Mhm.
we know how important cartoons
Oh, yeah.
are.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, hey, we just have to we turn on the TV and we see all these cartoons. So,
well, everybody know that cartoons are very powerful. A long time ago, I think they had the Campbell that was promoting cigarettes.
yep,
A cartoon character
Yep.
that was a Campbell promoting cigarettes, and they had a polar bear character promoting liquor.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
so they had to cut that real quick because
Yes.
they knew the power of cartoons. And
yes,
cartoons have been used in the past to promote communism. It's
Yep.
cartoon communism a long time ago. So the world sees it. The
Yep.
evil one sees the wickedness of it. Now, cartoons in themselves, they're neutral. You
right,
can make them good or bad.
sure,
And speaking in pictures are powerful. Look, it's an old thing from Africa. It's an
Mhm.
old thing in the Bible. Jesus told parables.
right,
Parables are pictures.
Mhm.
So I'm just taking what the Lord doing it, did a long time ago,
yep.
and just using a dry erase board with it.
Oh, that's awesome. So let's hear from Teryll here. I'm curious because we talked about his artistic ability. So how has your dad influenced your ability to do what you're doing now, like with some of your artistic talents? Let's just put your job aside for a second. But let's just say, do you enjoy that part of it?
Yeah, I would say like my dad's had like a tremendous influence on my artistic journey.
Mhm.
Even though like right now I'm not doing art, I'm going to design school. He supported me through that.
Right.
Of course, growing up, make a little drawing here and there. He's gonna put that on the fridge.
Right.
So yeah. He's there's stuff that even now that he's teaching me about art that's invaluable to my journey.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of we have our work and then we have our passion stuff.
Mhm.
And so, hey, the work's got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
That's just that's the fact.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that after work we can't do what either God has called us to do or our passion, what we really love to do.
Mhm.
So I know I met your dad, we just got to talking at the bank and it was like, man, it was so refreshing to talk to somebody with your ability to connect.
Mhm.
And, that led to more questions about stuff. And then we realized all these common things we had in common. And that's led us to here. So let's talk more about Cartoons for Christ. So where do you see it applying? I know we say kids.
Mhm.
Give our viewers some ideas on where you have used your ministry to tap in and affect the kids of our generation.
Okay, I've used it. Matter of fact, I think the 27th, next Saturday, I'm going to do a youth summit put on or sponsored by the Marietta Housing Authority.
Okay.
So let me check that information. Dr. Regina DeLay is going to be over it, and the theme is leap into a brighter future. I will be doing a workshop there. I won't be the only speaker, but I did it last year at the Civic Center. And it was great. So I use it I look at it like this. I draw superheroes sometime also.
Right.
I look at it as me helping to fight crime because the seed for criminal activity starts in childhood.
Yep.
Frederick Douglass said it's better to build a child than men a broken adult, so many words.
Yep.
So that's the way I look at it. I'm looking at it that I'm trying to prevent a lot of things, and I'm trying to help future families, by using these cartoons, using these images and telling these stories to capture the kids' attention.
Yeah.
And so I go to I do summits, I do workshops, I've done work in the school system. Of course, I have to make adjustments because of the religious situation, stuff like that. But I bring in the principles that everybody can agree. They don't want their kids to lie, steal, and hurt each other,
Right.
So I still bring in those principles. So of course I do churches and just any kind of place where they got kids or people. I do, I've done some things for Walton Community. They have things called Adventure Center. I used to work there full time, but I also taught and done entertainment things with senior citizens at Walton Communities, for example. So I do and go everywhere. Right now, on a regular basis, I go to the YDC, the Youth Detention Center in Marietta, and I teach kids. I do cartooning lessons where I teach them how to draw. While I'm teaching them how to draw, mentoring them at the same time. But I
Gotcha.
also do Christian stories and illustrations for them also.
Okay. Man, that's exciting. And I'll go back to the senior because we're in a senior center overture. And one of the things that we were talking about within our community is, you know, how seniors centers aren't the most conducive to kids because it's not like their toys are sitting around and there's plenty to do for young kids, but we want the kids to come visit us.
Okay.
So we have to, my partner calls it the cheese. You want to be the trap or the cheese. And if you're the cheese, the mouse comes visit you. If you're the trap, he wants to avoid you. So what I'm thinking, this is just off the top of my head, is you would be wonderful for the cheese because the kids will want to come visit grandma and grandpa if they have something exciting to see. So we'll have to talk further about that. Really, I think it's perfect for just giving them an incentive to come and visit grandma and grandpa. So
hey, and I could do some art lessons together because I've done.
I've
taught art lessons at senior citizens home before in the Walton community, and the older people like it. Seems like it brings out the youth in them.
Yes, so true. Do we do painting, like paint rocks?
Okay,
so it's right the same thing as, and man, that's well attended. Her name's Julia, but she's like art with Julia. I can see cartoons with Tony, something like that. And Teryll will come and supervise because sometimes these seniors get a little out of hand. We need like a younger person to come and organize them. So let's go back to Teryll because I'm really interested in what affects or what have you felt growing up? One, having a dad who loves Jesus and loves the Lord and is just committed to spreading the gospel. Well, how has that affected you?
It probably affects me more ways than like I even, like you can know things like in your head, how they are, but like you don't know like the absence of that. Like I've never felt the absence of my dad or that, my dad doesn't love me. And, even though I don't know how that feels, like I still like appreciate that, that's something I don't have to go through. I don't know if that answers your question.
I'll tell you one thing about Teryll. He's very modest in some area. He still draws a lot. He's good at designing. He's doing some of his art skills at the city of Marietta right now. He uses some of his art skills now at the city of Marietta. And one time I saw him draw a character. He showed me, he hadn't named the character like a teenage boy. And he had some jokes with the character too. I said, Teryll, we need to go ahead and turn that into a book. So right now, to put him on the spot, turn that into a book.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's a bonus. Yes.
So he does a lot more. He's kind of modest. He does a lot more than what he's talking about. He's very good in design. And he used some of his skills at work right now too.
Well, I'm just going to throw this out there because you brought it up, Tony. My partner is going for the Guinness Book of Records for the most books written by any individual.
What?
He writes a book a day.
Wow.
Now, let me repeat that. One book a day. Now, I have friends that go, I've been working on this book for 10 years. and he's writing, a day. Like crazy. He just finished writing a book for Sammy, and I can't pronounce his last name, but it's on the Holocaust. He's a Holocaust survivor. He's coming to Atlanta to speak to a group. So he's looking to speak to kids, and really it's a message of hope.
Okay.
And it's a message of like forgiveness. I mean, when my partner finished writing it, he was mentally drained.
Wow, I can imagine. Yeah.
When you dive into something so dark and so awful as that, I mean, it has an effect on you. Even not being there, you're still talking to a survivor who experienced it, and it just drains you. But
I can imagine.
But the point is, like with you talking about that, we're gonna figure out something to do because I think everybody has many books in themselves.
Yeah, I think so too.
Do you have a few of your books that you can share with our?
I also
Yeah.
These are books that my wife and I, we didn't do the artwork for these.
Right.
A long time ago, we created another character.
Okay.
I created a character called Ricky and Friends, but for Moody Press, we knew someone that worked for Moody Press, which is an international Christian publication.
I know it well.
And we did a book called Ricky and Friends, and we did 2. They're out of print right now.
Right.
But
let's show our viewers what it looks like.
The first one we did was Tony and Tracy Van Dyke, Ricky
Okay.
and Friends at Sunday School. It has 3 stories. You maybe can find them, maybe another copy on Amazon, maybe.
Okay.
You know, but we're going to try to reprint these. So it had 3 short stories about kids trying to apply what they've been learning from Sunday school.
Sure.
And so it's all about application when it comes to the Bible.
Yes.
If you're going to read the Bible and there's no application, then it is a boring book.
Yes.
If you have intent to put the content in action, then it's going to lead to some good things.
Totally agree with you.
And so this was a good seller. They printed this 2 times, and it used to be in choice bookstores a long time ago. Ricky and Friends Go to Africa.
Okay.
And so that was another artist that did it, but we created the character and we wrote the 3 stories in it. And so that was really good. So we look forward to maybe getting it in reprint someday. You know?
Well, I tell you what, Jeff Bourgeois, you hear this? This is somebody who wants to bring a book back. Not only does he bring books to publishing, I'm sure he's pretty good at bringing books back.
Yes.
Because it's nothing like it. You can look him up online and see all the books that he's written. I mean, I'm a person, I'll just throw this at. I never dreamed of writing a book because I flunked English in high school. And that was my first language now. It wasn't like I spoke a lot of languages and flunked English. So that's like, if you can't get your basic language done, it's not really conducive to writing books. But today's world is a little different. And God can do anything with us.
Yeah, they got editors and stuff, so that'll get all that out.
Yes. And so so what we're going to do, so everybody can listen now, look in the show notes. We're going to put links there to some of the resources we talked about. So you want to schedule Tony to come to your church, to your kids' Bible study, or not Bible study, Bible camp, anything that has to do with kids. This is the man. And Teryll will probably come with him, so you get 2 for 1. So, So, hey, you can actually see how his dad is applying these principles, not just talking about them, applying them. So let's go back to a little bit more for our viewers, because I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of people interested, because I totally agree. I have to have pictures. That's the way I think. Color pictures. So when you had mentioned Cartoons for Christ, I'm going, man, that's up my alley, because I like cartoons. I like simple things. And so when the Bible can be simplified into a message that's color and that stories, I'm thinking I roll back the clocks till I'm a kid and relearn some of this. So tell us, like, where do you see, what could you tell our viewers? How could they help you? I mean, let's talk specifics. So where our viewers can connect you, help you, and support you.
Well, they can support me by, if they have an event, invite me to an event.
Okay.
And to come and speak, that would be the best way.
Okay.
I'll put my email address down there, but I can do any and every event. I specialize with kids, but it's not limited to kids.
Okay.
Like I said, I've done adults, I've done work with teenagers, and it just crossed the lines, so because everybody like art, everybody like to be entertained. So I'm kind of like what you get if you got Billy Graham, the evangelist, right? And you got Charles Schultz, the artist that draw the peanuts.
Nice. I like that analogy.
Put them 2 together.
Yes.
Add a little chocolate. You got
I love it.
So that's what you got. I have a very just because you're teaching with kids, I think I worked with kids for a long time. This is what I've seen in the church. Unfortunately, people think they can just put anybody in the kids ministry because nobody want to deal with the kids. I mean, that's the most important ministry in the church, I would say, because you have the most influence.
Yes.
Kids are like a big open suitcase, Dr. James Dobson said, I think. And so, you're as a parent, they like that. Everything you tell them, they believe it,
Yep.
But as they get old, that suitcase is closing.
Yep.
So you try to stuff as much in that suitcase as you can before it closes. So that's what I do. I try to stuff as much of God's words, God's principles in that suitcase before it closes.
Yeah.
And so that's very important. Like I said earlier, the world in the evil way, they see the importance of kids, of trying to give kids their message, the wrong message.
Right.
And so I'm just doing it the right way. And God, I remember Jesus said, anybody, make a kid be a stumbling block to a kid, they might as well start tie a millstone around their neck and be thrown into the sea. So that kid ministry is very important. So you need to know what you're talking about. Right. You need to have sound doctrine. You just can't say anything to a kid. You're going to be accountable to God.
Yes.
Because they're just listening to you for everything.
Absolutely.
So, I had my training. So I did go to Carver Bible College, a very sound school in Atlanta, Georgia, very small school, very good school. It's one of the schools that Dr. Tony Evans, a great international minister, went to before he went to Dallas Theological Seminary. He went to Carver Bible College first.
Nice.
Got his basic foundation. So
Right.
Carver Bible College is a great school. So I got my foundation there. So I am a scholar, a Bible student, and I am an artist. And I'm not just somebody off the street that haven't been trained, that haven't studied the Bible.
Right.
So I've studied it. And so that's why I can take it in different ways and apply it. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Bible-wise. And the cartooning thing, of course, I know what I'm doing that. I've been doing that for years. And I've been published in other places. I've been in newspapers and Christian magazines and regular magazines too, in and outside of Atlanta. So just putting the two together is a dynamic thing that will draw anybody's attention. And don't think that your event, if it could be kids, it could be adults. I could take anything biblically, and do a presentation with it with my dry erase board and keep anybody's attention. I'm not bragging, I'm just feeling like it is, No. I'm not the best preacher in the world, but I'm not the best artist in the world. But I'm one man that can put both of them together real good.
And it just comes to my mind when I hear that is two things. Is one, we never want to compare ourselves to another person because God made us all unique. Different, like we all have one thing fingerprint. So it's like no two the same. We're all unique, but he wants us to use our talents and skills to spread the word. And the other thing I thought when you were explaining about the kids, I don't know what the title is. It's what we learned in life. We learned in kindergarten, or we learned in, so we learned fundamental principles as kids, and we practice these things out later in life. So just to your thing is let's teach them sound principles about what God's word teaches us when they're young. That way we don't have the problems as they get older because they have a foundation.
Right. The foundation is very important.
Yes. So we're going to ask Teryll an easy question. So, I'm through with the tough questions. Now we're going to get the So let's fast forward about 20 years. I know it's not possible to do that right now, but let's fast forward. No, we won't go that far out. We're going to go 5. That's it. So where do you see yourself as far as taking the talents, that God has laid on your heart through your dad? Where do you see yourself going?
5 years?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully out of school.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Additionally to that, I really feel called to like a church plant. So that's kind of like what I've been like working on right now.
Okay.
I'm in a really small like knit group right now. So I'm trying to see like, if we can get some more people together, maybe go start a church. I don't know. But that's what recently has been on my heart.
Oh man. That's good.
But yeah,
that is so good. I want to ask your dad now this question, because we're trying to build a world-class community here within Overture. So talk to our viewers about your philosophy on community. How important is it, community, to what you do and where you see the church, or just in general? Just talk about community.
And community is very important. I came from I used to work for close to 20 years in a apartment complex, Walton community. You know, so I very well know about it. As matter of fact, my journey led me to a community. I knew how important it was. There was a guy, I think he's still living, John Perkins.
Okay.
I remember reading the book about community. He was saying, you know, he was talking about rough communities, why the drug dealers and why they have the most impact on their community.
Right.
And I was saying, man, they do seem to do that. And John Perkins, what he did was move his family into a community that he was going to minister to.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you don't have to do that, but that's one of the effective ways to have an impact on community, because everybody cannot do that.
Right.
I think long as the people know that you love them in that community, that's the main thing. However, if you live in there, there are certain advantages that you do have.
Right.
So when I had an opportunity to do ministry at a community at Walton property a long time ago, I lived in Stone Mountain.
Okay.
And they asked me to come over there. I was going to commute. And, you know, I didn't know things were going to work out. Everything was kind of new. But that seed was planted to me younger before I got married. Right. So I said, man, I need to live in the community that I work at. And so I was a director over Adventure Center, but I was also a director over other adventure centers too that they was going to plant in their other tax credit community. So I thought, man, you need to live in the community. You have another level of impact. And I remember, you know, working the children after school program, and I took my kids to Teryll, and they were real at that time, to the park. And one boy saw me at the park. He said, Mr. Van Dyke. He saw me outside of the official teaching center. Just saw me at the park playing. I remember this guy, Mr. Van Dyke. He looked at me, he was just so amazed. You're here. You're here. You're at the park. He's like, wow. He's like, I could touch you. You're not just a person sitting, teaching me formally. Right. You live here with me. Like I said, I'm not saying that to make people feel good. You got to live in the community, but it does give you a certain advantage. Right. And someone, you know, asked the pimp that one day. I read in the magazine somewhere, and the pimp said, well, you leave, I'm still here. So by him being there, even though it's in a perverted way, they feel he got some points. Even though it's perverted, I mean, it's perverted, but he got some points because he here and he in the neighborhood, he tearing it up though, but then he here though, he got some kind of perverted points. So when you're there and, you know, meeting the people, and I was ministering when I was there, I ministered to the parents. People know I was a preacher, so I ministered to the parents, and I went to different events in there that were outside of the after school program. And so I would see people there outside of the program at the grocery store and places like that. I don't know, it endeared them, me to them more, you know. That
just hits home when you talk about, actually, there's the church I go to, he's away on a sabbatical, and there was a guy came in from Greenville, and he was talking that very thing. So he felt God laid on his heart to go live in the community. And it's one of the toughest areas in Greenville. Wow. And, you know, couple miles from him, somebody was shot. He was saying he went to see him, and it's like he looked on his phone. Oh, that's right around the corner. And so the fact is, he lives in the community. People respect that. You know, it's one thing to drive into a community. It's one to actually be in it. Right. It's a big difference. You get some points there. You get absolutely. I think absolutely. And people really respect the fact that, hey, this guy's in our community. So that makes a lot of sense. It's giving a message within itself. It's called a ministry of just being there. Right. You're being there and you're saying something with your action by living there before you even say the word. Right. You know. Okay. I know we could talk probably the whole afternoon, but you know, being it's your day off, we can't have you on the podcast all day long. So, but we're going to bring you back. I can tell you that, and we'll bring Teryll back too, because maybe we'll have that father and son book done. Yes, he started. Yes, he started, and I said, yes, do this together. You know, absolutely. So we're going to put that pressure on. Totally. And hey, Jeff, we just talked a little while ago. You heard this that. He's got a booking on his heart, and so we got a couple books out of print. We're going to bring them back. So that's so cool. So I'm going to leave a parting thought. Is like we always like to ask our listeners: is there somebody you can think of you think would be a good guest to come on Kennesaw Happenings that really could help share for our viewers important things that are going on in the community. Anybody off the top of your head? I know this is putting you on the spot.
Anybody we think should come on there?
Yeah.
Let me see.
That you think our viewers would
Well, you
like.
know what? There was a guy
Yeah.
in Albany that I'm very impressed with from my hometown. I'm from Albany, Georgia.
Okay.
By accent.
Yep.
Albany. Anyway, it's a young man. He's very young. I think he might be younger than my son, but he started, Albany was at one time known to be the greatest crime capital in the United States at one time.
Right.
That's not a good thing for my city. Anyway.
Yeah.
Come visit that sometime. No, anyway, but this young man, his name is King Randall.
Okay.
Named after Martin Luther King. And at the age of 19, he started people, the civic leaders, the preachers, everybody talking about all the shooting and killing. And he was saying, let's do something. But they would get together, have all these meetings, and nothing would happen.
Right.
They have nonprofit programs and people get money, but nothing happened. So this young man at the age of 19, he started bringing in the young boys, teaching them how to do sheetrock, teaching them how to do basic car maintenance, teaching them basic skills, and they made their own money. And the parent, these boys were from single parent homes. He started taking all these rough at-risk kids to his house and training them in the Word of God and giving them skills. He kind of reminded me of a young Booker T. Washington.
Yeah.
Giving them tangible skills that they can take anywhere.
Yep.
Sheetrock, how to fix cars and things like that. And he has, he's working on he has some kind of academy where he's teaching them even more.
Nice.
I think it would be great to have on the show. It's like, he's been on a whole bunch of podcasts internationally.
All right.
And very sharp young man. I was just so inspired by his work. His name is King Randall. You probably could look him up. And he took a group of those boys to the White House one time. Wow. And he's just doing a lot of things. He just looked at what do I have in my hand? Right. And God started going to work,
Man, that's so good. Now, what we'll do for our viewers, we're going to put links below, like I said. So we'll have information that we talked about on the show so you can easily get to it. So I'm gonna let Tony go home and spend some time with his son because it's his day off. So he came in the studio to really talk to our viewers today, and we appreciate that, Tony. So Teryll, good to meet you, and we know that book's going to happen because now it's on camera. Hey, look, it's been announced to the world. So they're going to be saying, well, where's that book Teryll talked about? So we know it's going to happen. Okay. So I want to thank, and I'm just going to since your dad is a senior part of this show, I'm going to let him give a parting thought before we leave, and then we'll sign off for our viewers.
Everyone has a unique talent, some kind of talent. Don't compare yourself to nobody else. Everybody has a unique talent. The question is, what are you going to do with that talent to the glory of God that he's given you? Man, that's a question. I tell you what, there's nothing to be said after that. You absolutely nailed it, Tony. And I want to thank you because we don't have guests this interesting on our show. So this was a special one. So thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for our viewers for and you can put comments below if you want to reach out to Tony and Teryll for anything. Put it in the comment section and you'll be able to get in touch with them. So we want to thank everybody for listening, and you have a wonderful day.